Millionaire enters orphanage at midnight. Little girl screams, "Dad." Is this real? The night was heavy with an eerie silence, the kind that wrapped around you like a damp blanket. The old orphanage loomed in the darkness, its broken windows casting ghostly shadows under the flickering streetlights. Then, out of the stillness, came the sound of rapid footsteps, echoing like a warning bell. A figure emerged, silhouetted against the night sky, dressed in a tailored suit that seemed out of place in such a rundown neighborhood. He walked with purpose, an aura of mystery trailing behind him, as if he had stepped out of a different world. Inside, the orphanage was a labyrinth of memories, walls stained with the tales of lonely children and lost hopes. It smelled of dust and despair, yet tonight, a strange energy buzzed in the air. When the door swung open, the creaking sound sliced through the silence, awakening the sleeping kids. Eyes widened in disbelief. Was it really him? Was this millionaire, known for his icy demeanor and enigmatic past, actually here? The local gossip whispered about him forever time and again. He was seen, but never this close. Could it be true? And then the moment pierced through it all. A small voice cried out, "Dad." The sound exploded in the room, a pure mixture of joy and confusion that sent shivers down spines. Every child's head snapped toward the source, a little girl at the front. Her eyes were wide with hope, reflecting the shimmering light from the moon, and for an instant, everything stopped. The millionaire froze too, his expression morphing from indifference to shock, the world closing in around him. The air thickened as whispers rippled through the orphanage, kids exchanging glances filled with curiosity and suspicion. What was happening here? Who was this little girl? Suddenly, laughter erupted from the back, a stranger's voice mocking. "She must be dreaming. Can you believe it?" The atmosphere shifted. Tension clung to the air, palpable and electric. Someone was hiding something. That much was clear. What secret was this millionaire hiding? What truth bound him to this little girl? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the crowd shifted with barely contained energy, the millionaire took a tentative step forward, his heart pounding like a ticking clock. The little girl clasped her hands together, her face a mixture of hope and uncertainty. The billion-dollar question hung in the air like a storm cloud waiting to burst. Every heartbeat echoed as he opened his mouth to speak. Would he confirm or deny the impossible connection? Was it a dream, or was this moment about to shatter their lives forever? And just outside, an unsettling wind began to howl, as if nature itself anticipated the unfolding drama. What truth was lurking in the shadows of the orphanage? The night was far from over. The millionaire hesitated, his lips moving but no words escaping. The atmosphere thickened, a knot tightening in the chest of the small gathering. The girl's hopeful expression seemed to shift into something more profound, a hint of desperation. She stepped forward, her small frame glowing in the moonlight that streamed through the cracked windows. "Please, it's you. I've been waiting." Her voice trembled on the edge of pleading. Gasps surrounded them, the others hanging on the moment with bated breath. Whispers erupted, each shared glance quickly turning into questions. Who is she? What is going on? Somewhere at the back, laughter turned into disdainful murmurs. "This is ridiculous. Just look at her." Yet the millionaire, suddenly aware of the eyes on him, felt his world narrowing on that child. The mockery faded into silence, leaving only the pounding of his own pulse, each thump matching the little girl's hopeful gaze. Was it possible? The millionaire reached out cautiously, brushing against her fingers, warmth igniting between them. Memories flooded his mind, fragments of a life he had buried deep. A name whispered in shadows, a life lost to time. His expression hardened but softened at the edges. "You, who are you? How did you?" Her tiny hand gripped his as if anchoring him in reality. "I'm Lily. You promised you'd come back." The room spun. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Was this a cruel joke, a girl mistaking someone for a lost father? Or was it a truth long hidden in the depths of sorrow? From the corner, a figure leaned in, eyes gleaming with malice. You really don't remember, do you? Maybe you should listen to what she has to say. The millionaire felt a chill creep up his spine. He twisted around, eyes narrowing at the stranger. What do you know? The man's smile was a snake's, sly and venomous. Oh, only everything. About you and her and what happened those years ago, he drawled, savoring each word. He gestured dramatically, commanding attention. You think you can just waltz back into her life and play the hero? Let us see how that unfolds, shall we? The laughter that erupted was dark and filled with foreboding, swirling around the orphanage like a shadow. It was the laugh of a truth obstructed, a history that might destroy everything if brought to light. The millionaire straightened, casting a protective glance at Lily, who looked up at him, eyes wide and innocent yet terrified. Who are you? He demanded, stepping closer to confront the stranger. What do you want with us? But the man only shrugged, a smirk playing on his lips. Oh, just looking for a little entertainment, and possibly some unfinished business. The tension thickened again. Lily's hand squeezed his tighter, and he felt a surge of protectiveness. He had to confront this, whatever it was. The orphanage felt smaller now, shadows creeping closer as the air buzzed with unspoken truths and possibilities like electricity before a storm. With determination igniting within him, he turned back to the children who all watched in anxious silence. Listen up. I may not know what is happening right now, but I will find out. Just then, a loud crash resonated from the second floor, and the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. Hearts pounded in sync, panic rising in the air. What was that? Someone whispered, but no one had the answer. In the chaos, Lily tugged at his sleeve, her voice barely a whisper. You need to get out of here, before it's too late. The weight of her warning hung in the air like smoke, twisting around them. What was happening at the orphanage? What secrets waited in the dark? And outside, the wind howled louder than before, as if it too was searching for the answers hidden within those walls. The darkness swallowed them whole, an oppressive void that smothered any hope of clarity. The cold air thickened, stirring unease among the gathered children. The millionaire squinted, his heart racing as he strained to listen over the collective whispers of fear that filled the room. Lily, he called, trying to keep the panic from his voice. Where are you? Fingertips brushed against his arm. A feeble light flickered from a small flashlight one of the children had found. In its beam, Lily's face appeared, pale and wide-eyed, her features drenched in worry. Over here, she urged, her hand still gripping his tightly. We can't stay? If he finds us. Who? He pressed, his voice low, the cold sweat pooling at his brow. She hesitated, glancing around as though the shadows themselves had ears. The man he's dangerous. I've always known he'd come back. The tension coiled tightly within him. A singular thought quickened his pulse. There was more to her fear than she let on. Before he could question her further, the lights flickered back on, illuminating the dilapidated building with an eerie glow. And then came the laughter, a low chuckle that slithered through the air, snaking its way into every soul present. The man, the malevolent figure who had set this chain of events into motion, stood there in the light, smile still curling at the corners of his lips. Did you think you could run? He taunted. You've awoken something far worse than you could ever imagine. This little charade is just the beginning. More gasps erupted from the children, bodies instinctively pressing closer into one another, while the millionaire stood firm, absorbing the reality of the situation. What do you want? He demanded, fists clenching at his side. Oh, just a chance to see how a long-buried secret unravels, he replied, his eyes glinting with sadistic glee. He stepped closer, the air thick with menace. You see, I know about the accident. I know what happened that night, and I know who is to blame. The millionaire's breath caught. Memories clawed to the surface, fragments and flashes of events he'd locked away deep inside himself. The guilt, the sorrow, the chaos, it all came rushing back in a tide of emotions he couldn't control. What do you mean? He barked, trying desperately to mask the tremor in his voice. Without missing a beat, the man continued, there are secrets only I can share, incidents that could ruin lives. Wouldn't it be a shame if they came to light now? With this precious little girl, right here? Lily trembled beside him, and he could feel the weight of her fear against his side. The $1,000,000 smile had turned venomous, and the millionaire took a rising step forward, ready to charge. But before he could act, another crash shattered the tension. This time, echoing from below, they could hear footsteps, heavy and deliberate, marching ever closer. "Now, that's interesting," the stranger said, leaning back as if taking pleasure from the chaos. "Seems your little reunion might have drawn more attention than we anticipated. But don't worry. I'll make sure you have all the time you need to catch up." As the sound of crashing footsteps grew louder, panic filled the orphanage. The children whimpered, eyes shining with fear. The millionaire glanced down at Lily, whose expression rapidly shifted from fear to determination. "Follow me," she whispered urgently. "I know a way out. We have to go now." Without waiting for an answer, she grabbed his hand and pulled him towards a darkened hallway leading away from the chaos. The shadows seemed hungry, desperate to snatch them back, but he couldn't hesitate. Not now. The footsteps thundered closer. The stranger lurked in the shadows, a sinister smile on his lips. "Run if you must, but I'll be right behind you." With every pounding heartbeat echoing in the silence, dread coiled tighter around him. Would they make it out alive? As they dashed through the corridors, a chilling thought flickered in the back of his mind. What was lurking in the darkness they were running toward? And with the sound of the sinister laughter echoing behind them, it left one burning question in the air. What truly awaited them in the dark? With Lily's small hand gripping his tightly, the millionaire plunged into the unknown of the darkened hallway. The sound of heavy boots reverberated throughout the orphanage, a constant reminder that time was slipping away. Panic surged, and he felt the weight of their lives pressing down on them. "Keep moving," he urged, his voice steady despite the quickening rhythm of his heart. Shadows loomed on the walls, dancing menacingly as the beam of the flashlight trembled in Lily's grip. "Where are we going?" Her voice quavered, but her determination shone through. Just trust me," he replied, wishing he could reassure them both. The bitter memory of that night hung over him like a dark cloud, a reminder of burdens past that refused to let go. When they reached a corner, an old wooden door stood slightly ajar. Light seeped through, illuminating a narrow escape route. He pushed it open, barely hesitating before beckoning her to follow. As they squeezed through the door, he felt an icy grip coiling around his heart. The laughter from the man echoed in his mind, each syllable laden with malice. "You think you can escape? I'm always watching." Thud! The sound jolted him, and he turned to see that the door was closing, the hinges creaking ominously. "Hurry!" he shouted, shoving Lily ahead of him. In that moment, he saw her fear reflected in her wide eyes, fueling his resolve. Once outside, they stumbled into the moonlit yard, the cold air sharp and bracing. A glimmer of hope sparked within him. They were free, for now. But the sound of pursuit was relentless, echoing through the quiet night. "Where do we go?" Lily asked, her breath ragged. "Over there." He pointed towards the thick rows of trees lining the property. "We need to get to the woods. There might be a road on the other side." Chests heaving, they raced toward the trees, but doubt gnawed at him. They couldn't run forever. The man had spoken of secrets and scandals. What did he know? The thought stung like a thorn. The truth was a heavy load to bear. As they dove into the sheltering embrace of the trees, the noises faded into the distance, replaced by the rustling of branches swaying in the wind. He felt a fleeting moment of relief wash over him, yet uncertainty loomed large. With trembling hands, he turned to Lily, searching her face for courage, a beacon in dark times. "We will find a way out of this. I promise. Do you think he'll come after us?" Lily's voice was a fragile whisper, the fear seeping back into her eyes. "He'll try," he said, though his confidence wavered. "But we won't let him. We'll figure it out together." A snap of a twig nearby sent shivers down his spine, and an instinctive dread washed over him. He glanced back toward the orphanage, shadows creeping in among the trees, and for a fleeting second, thought he saw the man watching. Each heartbeat echoed the thrumming of fear, and just when they thought they were alone, a sound pierced through the stillness, the taunting laughter, now impossibly close. "Go," he shouted, tightening his grip on her hand as he pulled her deeper into the woods. Every step took them further into the shadowy embrace of the trees, yet the feeling of escape slipped further away with every echo of laughter. What had they awoken that night? What secrets slumbered in the darkness they had fled? As the laughter grew louder, one thought ignited fear anew. What if the darkness was only beginning to reveal itself? Keep moving, he urged, but one question loomed above them. Would they survive the shadows that chased them, or would they be consumed by the secrets that hung in the night air? Branches clawed at their clothes as they pushed deeper into the woods, the cool air thick with tension. Every rustle, every whisper of the wind, felt like a warning. He could hear Lily's small gasps, each one a reminder of how fragile their situation was. This could all end in an instant if they didn't find safety soon. Do you think he heard us? Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Fear chilled her words, and he could see the shadows playing tricks on her young mind. I don't know, he replied, forcing confidence into his tone. But we have to stay quiet. We can't give him any reason to find us. Ahead, the trees thinned out, revealing a dense patch of undergrowth laden with moonlight. Creeping toward it, he felt a sudden knot of anxiety twist in his stomach. What if this led them out of the woods only to plunge them back into danger? A chill raced down his spine as the laughter echoed again, sickeningly close, as if the man were right behind them. Panic surged. Should they keep running or hide? His mind raced, but he caught a glimpse of a clearing ahead. Look, Lily, he exclaimed suddenly, pointing. We can hide in there. With no time to waste, they ducked into the thick underbrush, crouching low. The boy's heart pounded in his chest as he pulled Lily close, the weight of his hand holding tight against her small shoulders. In the eerie quiet, they could hear the pounding of their own hearts. Then, in the distance, a figure emerged from the shadows, a looming silhouette. He could barely make out the features, but the wicked grin was unmistakable. The man was searching. Where are you? The voice called, rich with arrogance. You can't hide forever. The man's footsteps crunched through the leaves, each noise sending panic rippling through him. He wanted to bolt, to escape, but he was paralyzed by fear, praying his stealth could mask their presence. Please, be quiet, he whispered to Lily, who shivered against him. He watched the figure drawn closer, each step echoing in the silence of the night. Suddenly, a low cry escaped Lily's lips, a sound so small, yet it shattered the fragile silence. The figure froze, head snapping in their direction. Ah, there you are. The man's laughter danced through the night air, mocking and cruel. Did you really think you could slip away so easily? I have eyes everywhere. The man stepped closer, peering into the bush, his breath a hissing whisper that seemed to cut through the darkness. Come out. Come out. Wherever you are. The weight of horror settled on the millionaire's chest. He realized this was no longer just about escaping. It was a fight for their lives. As the man knelt closer, looking for them, he knew their time was running out. Run, he whispered urgently, adrenaline coursing through his veins like fire. Would they risk being seen and take flight? Or would they stay put, hoping to remain hidden? The moment hung in the air, thick with dread and uncertainty. They had to decide, and fast, before the shadows claimed them both. With the man so close, he felt like a deer caught in headlights. But even as terror threatened to overwhelm him, another thought flickered in his mind. The horror didn't have to stop here. If they escaped, if they could trick the darkness, what did that mean for the secrets lurking behind them? As the fearsome laughter echoed once more, a chilling realization set in. Could they truly leave the past behind? Or was it a darkness that would follow them until the end? Now, he urged, heart racing. And with that, everything hung in the balance as they prepared to fight their way into the unknown. They bolted from the underbrush, hearts racing like wild horses. The man behind them bellowed with rage, the sound bursting through the trees and swallowing the night. They didn't dare look back, the memory of that mocking laughter entwined with every pounding step, echoing in their ears like a nightmare come to life. Keep going, Lily, he shouted as they sprinted into the clearing, the moonlight flooding their path like an angel guiding lost souls. But even as the light illuminated their route, darkness lurked just behind them, fetid and unnatural. The boy could feel it creeping closer, wrapping around them like a suffocating fog. Lily's breath came in quick, panicked gasps, each one a stab to his heart. He wanted to take her hand, to slow down and reassure her, but no time existed to show weakness. They had to reach the edge of the woods, had to find safety before that laughter turned to screams. Ahead lay a row of tall grass, swaying beneath the weight of the night. He could see the outline of a dirt road just beyond it. Freedom beckoned. This way, he led, pushing through the thick blades, feeling the moisture cling to his skin. The road was close, just a little farther, but fate had other plans. Suddenly, a twig snapped close by, splintering the stillness like a gunshot. Panic surged through him, and he turned, a chill of dread washing over his body. The man was back. He hadn't been far behind, after all. Stop! The voice boomed, sending a wave of fright crashing through them both. You can't outrun me. They didn't stop. Urging each other on, they plunged through the grass, closer to the dirt road, where each heartbeat felt like a countdown. But then there it was. The road. A glimmer of hope. The boy's knees drove against the dirt, urging him forward, but Lily screamed again. He whipped around, horrified, as he saw her snagged, her foot caught in a gnarled root. No, Lily. He rushed back, reaching her just as the man burst through the grass. A feral grin plastered across his face. You're mine, he hissed, but the boy wouldn't let that happen. He could feel every ounce of protection rising within him, raw and instinctual. He grasped Lily's shoulders, wrenching her free, and they stumbled back onto the path, breathless, his hand clasping hers tightly. With nothing left to lose, they dashed toward the dirt road, driven by sheer will. But the man was relentless. His footsteps thundered close behind. It was a hunt now, a sick twist of predator and prey. The road seemed endless, stretching toward a horizon they could barely see, yet the darkness grew, inching ever closer. Turn, the boy called, spotting what looked like an old shack at the end of the road. We'll hide in there. Desperation fueled every ounce of energy remaining in them. They sprinted toward the dilapidated structure, its weathered wooden planks creaking in the wind like the very bones of the earth. As they reached the door, he shoved Lily inside, following after her and slamming it shut behind them. Inside, the air was stale and thick, a damp heaviness that suffocated. Shadows flickered in the corners, and the boy felt a knot of dread clench in his stomach. They were hidden, but for how long? He pressed his ear to the door, listening. All he could hear was the frantic beating of their hearts. In the silence, there was a sudden sound, a gentle tapping from somewhere in the shroud of the shack. It froze him in place. Had they truly escaped? Or was the hunt merely beginning? Do you hear that? He whispered to Lily, who stood wide-eyed, trembling at his side. But before she could respond, the tapping grew louder and then stopped altogether. Then came a voice, soft yet unmistakable, gliding through the shadows like a phantom. You shouldn't have come here. A chill ran down his spine. This wasn't over. The sanctuary they had sought was shrouded in danger, and they may have just unwittingly trapped themselves in a web far more sinister than the one they had fled. Lily, he started, but there was no turning back now. The nightmare had only just begun. What other horrors awaited them in this strange place? And would they find a way out before the shadows swallowed them whole? The steady heartbeat of silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. The boy glanced at Lily. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the ghostly light that trickled through the rotting wooden slats. Fear gripped him like a vice. He could feel its cold fingers wrapping around his throat, making it hard to breathe. What do we do? Lily whispered, her voice breaking. He didn't know. The answer clawed at the back of his mind, but it was drowned out by the frantic thud of his heart. The tapping returned, more insistent this time, echoing through the dimness of the shack. It was rhythmic, almost like a chant, and he could feel it settling into his bones, an ancient call for something dark. Stay back, he ordered, his voice barely holding steady. He forced himself to approach the source, moving slow, like a shadow afraid of discovery. The air grew colder as he drew near the corner, where the tapping seemed to dance around a pile of dilapidated crates. What if it's him? Lily's voice trembled. She was shaking, as if the very thought of the man outside had seeped into the walls around them. Then we'll outsmart him. We have to, he murmured, though he wasn't sure how. His hands brushed against the wooden crate, its surface rough against his palm. He could see a faint glimmer coming from the tiny gap in the wood. Before he realized what he was doing, he pried it open, feeling the pull of curiosity overshadowing his fear. The crack widened, and out tumbled a small, tattered book. Dust swirled in the dim light, dancing in front of them like tiny specters. He picked it up, revealing a faded title, Whispers from the Lost. A shiver ran up his spine as he opened it. The pages yellowed and brittle, fragile against his fingertips. The tapping ceased. A heavy silence replaced the noise, as if the shack itself had drawn a breath. Waiting, watching, what is it? Lily asked, stepping closer, her fear momentarily eclipsed by intrigue. He squinted at the words, scanning the pages. They held tales of children taken to the dark, stories of every lost soul who had ever passed through these woods, each one ending in sorrow, betrayal, or worse. He flipped through the pages until a jagged line caught his eye. They take the truth and twist it. Darkness feeds on fear. Lily, he started, but the horror of understanding hit him before he could finish. The tapping, the voice, it was a lure. They'd been drawn here for a reason. Before he could warn her, a loud bang suddenly erupted at the door, the man's furious voice slicing through the silence. I know you're in there. You can't hide forever. Panic surged through him again. Willing himself to stay calm, he gripped the book. We have to find a way out, he said, racing back to Lily's side. We can't stay here. The air vibrated with intensity. The shadows in the corners seemed to deepen, reaching out like hands hungry for flesh. He took Lily's hand, feeling the warmth of her skin against his in stark contrast to the cold that surrounded them. Move, he urged, dragging her towards the back of the shack, searching for an escape. The door rattled violently now, splinters flying as the man pressed against it. Just as they reached the rear wall, he noticed a small window, the only escape. A glimmer of moonlight shone through, illuminating the panes, but it was too small for both of them. I'll go first, he decided, but when he turned to climb through, the window screeched like a demon. The sound suddenly broke through the exterior chaos, causing Lily to flinch. There was no turning back. They had toyed with darkness, and now it was time to face it. Lily, listen, he said, forcing her to meet his gaze, scanning for any flicker of hope in her terrified eyes. We'll find each other, no matter what happens. Trust me. And in a heartbeat, he launched himself through the narrow opening, hitting the ground with a thud that shook him momentarily. Go, he shouted, looking back as he turned to help her. But the window seemed to tremble, threatened by the force of their pursuer, now crashing against the door with unrestrained fury. Lily moved to follow, but the air thickened around her, a dreadful weight on her small frame as she hesitated. Get out, he urged desperately, sensing time slipping away. Something unseen shuddered inside the shack, and he could feel it coming, the breath of something ancient awakening. Eager to reclaim its lost playthings, she finally hurled herself towards the opening. The door splintered with a violent roar. He reached for her, grabbing her wrists as they tumbled onto the unforgiving ground. In that fleeting moment, the shadows behind them released a guttural scream that echoed into the night, shattering the stillness like glass. Then came the low, haunting laughter again, as if the very woods conspired against them. They scrambled to their feet, breathless, just as a figure lurked at the edge of the light, eyes glinting with menace. Run, he yelled, and they darted into the woods. But somewhere in the distance, that cruel laughter followed, and this time, it felt like it was waiting for something far worse to unfold. What had they awakened in that shack, and would they ever escape its terror? The forest swallowed them whole as they sprinted away from the shack, branches clawing at their skin. Heart racing, the boy glanced back, just in time to catch a glimpse of the figure stepping through the door, silhouetted against the firefly glow of moonlight. The man stood there for a moment, his head tilted, as if savoring the scent of fear in the air. Faster, he yelled, pulling Lily along. She stumbled, dragging her feet, overwhelmed by the shadows contracting around them. Each rustle of leaves sent chills racing down their spines, and the laughter echoed again, closer this time, as if the man were right at their heels. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown, each thud in his chest a reminder that they had awakened something they couldn't control. The boy's lungs burned, but he pushed harder, adrenaline fueling him as they plunged deeper into the trees. They veered left, seeking shelter among the undergrowth, hoping to hide from whatever malevolent force pursued them. Where do we go? Lily gasped, desperation seeping into her voice as they ducked behind a thick trunk, their bodies pressed tight against the rough bark. I don't know. Just keep quiet, he whispered urgently, trying to steady his breath. There was no time for fear. He had to protect her. The laughter rose again, filling the night air like a twisted melody. It felt like a challenge, as if the dark itself wanted to consume them. The boy's mind raced. Recalling the stories from the book, they found tales of children caught in the snare of a darkness that feasted on fear. "Shoo," he urged, pressing a finger to his lips. He could hear footsteps now, crunching leaves, unmistakable and near. He wanted to scream, to cry out for help, but they were alone in their nightmare. Suddenly, the laughter stopped. The forest exhaled an eerie stillness, like the calm before a storm. "Can you hear that?" Lily whispered, eyes wide with terror. The boy strained to listen, heart pounding in his ears. Just then, a low growl reverberated through the air. He turned, feeling the hair on the back of his neck stand up as the shadows thickened. An inky figure shifted near the trees, its form bending in a way that defied nature. "It's here," he breathed, feeling Lily's small hand tremble beside him. "What do we do?" she asked, panic creeping back into her voice. "We face it. We have to," he said, though doubts stormed inside him. The boy gripped her hand tighter, ready to confront whatever monstrosity lurked in the darkness. As if responding to his challenge, the figure edged closer, eyes glinting with malevolence. They could see now a twisted smile broke across its face, teeth sharp, dripping with anticipation. "Run," the gut instinct screamed, and just as he took a step back, the creature lunged forward, its limbs stretching beyond what was humanly possible. "No," he shouted, pulling Lily with him as they stumbled back deeper into the foliage. Just then, the ground beneath them erupted, roots snaking up, grasping at their ankles like hands determined to drag them down into the earth. The boy fought against the pull, tearing Lily away from the icy grip. "Keep going," he yelled, as they both managed to break free. In that moment, the shadows seemed to swirl into a vortex, and the boy caught a glimpse of the sickening smile again, flickering amidst the darkness. They had to escape, but escape to what? Thorny branches lashed at them as they sprinted forward, branches cracking and snapping in their wake. But just as they began to feel like they were gaining distance, an unfamiliar sound echoed from behind, a warbling cry, filled with anguish and despair, reverberating through the woods. "What is that?" Lily stammered, her voice small and fragile. "I don't know," he said, but a sick dread settled in his stomach. They darted towards a small clearing, breathless and shaken, where the moonlight broke through the canopy. But there, amidst the soft glow, lay something that sent chills racing down their spines. A mound of forgotten toys and trinkets, abandoned gifts littered the ground like offerings to an unseen deity. Dolls with glassy eyes stared back at them, and broken toys whispered forgotten laughter of a time long past. As they stumbled into the clearing, the air thickened. "Lily, look," he said, pointing at a small, wooden box sitting atop the jumble of toys, its hinges rusted yet strangely inviting. The laughter crescendoed in the distance, and the boy felt the urge to flee, but something about that box drew him in like a moth to a flame. What if it held the key to their escape? "Don't touch it," Lily cried, clutching his arm, but he felt an unnatural compulsion, as if it were calling to him, begging to be opened. Would he risk everything on this last chance? What could possibly be inside that cursed box? The moment hung taut between them, eyes widening with a mixture of dread and wonder, when suddenly, the cry erupted again, closer now, unmistakably near, as the creature stalked through the shadows, ready to claim its prey. What was waiting for them in that box? And would it grant salvation or seal their doom? The boy's heart raced as he stared at the wooden box, its surface etched with cryptic symbols that seemed to pulse in the dim light. He could feel the weight of time pressing around them, each second stretching like a taut string about to snap. Lily's grip tugged at him, pulling him back into the urgency of the moment, but curiosity tugged him forward. "Open it," the voice in his mind whispered urgently. "No." Lily's eyes darted around, as if the shadows themselves were narrowing in on them. "We need to go now?" But the laughter had returned. It danced through the trees, swirling in chaotic patterns that echoed with sinister delight. The creature's warbling cry slithered deeper into his ears, chilling him to the bone. What if it's the only way to stop it? He insisted, kneeling before the box. He turned the tattered latch with shaking fingers. The rusted metal groaned in protest, mirroring the discomfort gnawing at the back of his mind. The sound was akin to a warning. "Please, don't do this," Lily urged, her voice rising in panic. But he had to know. With a deep breath that tasted of desperation, he pried the lid open, half expecting a cloud of dust or a rush of wind. Instead, silence enveloped them. Inside the box lay a small, ornate mirror, framed in silver that glistened eerily in the soft moonlight. But it wasn't the mirror itself that caught his attention, it was the reflection staring back at him. He expected to see his own frightened face. Instead, he saw the creature looming over them, its twisted grin widening, flickering in and out like an old film reel. It was watching them with an unnerving hunger, eyes glinting like sharp knives. "Close it! Close it!" Lily shrieked, her voice breaking through the fog of disbelief. The boy stumbled backward, slamming the lid shut as dread flooded his veins. The laughter exploded into wild guffaws, taunting them. The shadows around them thickened, swirling in a hungry tempest, and the air grew heavy with a palpable darkness that pressed against their chests. "What did we do?" he gasped, the reality of their choice crashing down like a tidal wave. The mirror seemed to open a door not just to fear, but to something hungry, relentless. The growls intensified, now mixed with anguished cries. The toys scattered across the clearing began to vibrate, rattling as the ground trembled beneath their feet. They watched in horror as the dolls' eyes glimmered with life, their painted mouths twisted into ghastly grins. "We have to run," the boy shouted, grabbing Lily's arm again. They turned to flee, but the ground shook violently as roots burst forth, faster and more aggressive than before, snaking around their ankles like living serpents. "In there!" Lily yelled, pointing toward an old, gnarled tree not far from the clearing. It had a hollow that looked like a dark mouth, eager to swallow them whole. With no time to think, they sprinted toward it, pushing past each other in a desperate race for safety. As they dove into the tree's hollow, the world exploded around them. The shadows surged, a wave of darkness breaking against the tree as the creature bellowed in frustration. They huddled together, hearts thundering, pressing themselves against the cold bark. "What do we do now?" Lily whispered, her breath trembling. "I don't know," he admitted, fear wrapping around his throat like a noose. But there was something in the air, something alive and restless. Just then, a soft glow emerged from the depths of the tree hollow, illuminating the darkness around them. A voice, faint but clear, reached their ears. "Help me find me the boy," and Lily exchanged startled glances, wonder mixing with terror. Whose voice was that? Was it a plea, or a trap? Caught between the escape and the echo of the glowing call, they understood one thing. The darkness wouldn't rest. They couldn't stay hidden forever. Could this voice provide a way out, or would it lead them deeper into the heart of their nightmare? The tree seemed to pulse, the shadows shifting, preparing for a new drama to unfold. The tension in the hollowed tree was electric. As the mysterious voice whispered for help, a strange warmth enveloped Lily and the boy, entwining them in an unseen web of connections. They turned to each other, disbelief shadowing their features. "Should we answer?" she whispered, her voice trembling. What if it was a trap? The boy wrestled with uncertainty. But the alternate was worse. Staying and hiding would mean certain death at the hands of the creature that prowled the dark. "We have to try," he declared with a determination that belied his fear. "Help us," he shouted into the gloom, hoping against hope that the embers of light they sensed weren't a cruel trick. "Please." For a heartbeat, silence engulfed them, heavy and pregnant with terror. Then, the glow intensified, pulsing like a heartbeat. The voice returned, clearer now. "Find the truth. It will set us free." And with those words, the shadows around them shifted, swirling in a dance of light and darkness. Without thinking, they stepped further into the pulsating glow. The cool, damp earth beneath their feet shifted, transforming their surroundings into a swirl of colors and memories. Suddenly, they were transported no longer in the suffocating hollow of the tree, but in a vast, sunlit meadow, colors bursting all around them. Missing kids played joyfully, lost in laughter, unaware of the darkness lurking beyond the shadows. Where are we?" Lily gasped, her eyes wide with wonder and confusion. It must be the boy trailed off, struggling to find the words. It's their memories once that creature trapped. Each child was a fragment of a story long forgotten, of innocence stolen and turned into nightmares. Yet here, in this realm, They felt safe at least for a fleeting moment. But the glow flickered again, the images rippling like a mirage, and the laughter turned sinister as shadows began to creep in from the edges. The creature somewhere, still searching. Now, the boy urged, feeling urgency surge through him. We need to find the truth. It is hiding. Maybe it's here. Lily pointed to a small wooden structure in the distance, something that looked like a schoolhouse she had seen before in photos abandoned, yet calling to them with unexplainable familiarity. They raced toward it, fear pounding in their throats like a drum. As they reached the door, their hearts synchronized, every thud echoing the need to uncover what lay hidden. Inside, the air was thick, laden with dust, but light streamed through a cracked window, revealing faded drawings on the walls, faces of children trapped in time, eyes forever waiting. What do we do? Lily whispered nervously, glancing over her shoulder as if the shadows might follow them here. Look for something, anything, he exclaimed, his voice steadying their shared breath. They searched, fingers brushing over the remnants of lives once vibrant. Then, hidden behind a cracked wall, they found a tattered book, barely held together, full of scrawled names and dates of children who had vanished, their plight written in ink. Read it, Lily urged, eyes alight with purpose. The boy flipped open the pages, the words heavy, holding the weight of years lost to despair. Every name echoed within him. And then, there it was, a name he recognized, his own. Wait, no way, this can't be, he blinked, panic clawing at his insides. Look, Lily gasped, pointing to another name. Look at this. In plain sight was the truth, the names of children, and beside each was detailed what the creature had done to steal their laughter, to drain their essence into a twisted game of torment. We can stop it, he murmured, realization dawning with a searing intensity. This is how we break its hold. As if summoned, darkness thrummed angrily at the door, a presence lurking just outside. Let us finish this, Lily declared, voice steady despite the fear mirroring in her eyes. Together, he vowed, and they stepped forward in unison, clutching the book tightly. Your time is over, he shouted into the approaching darkness, words drenched in defiance. We will unveil the truth, and you will no longer steal from us. The shadows recoiled, the laughter diminishing, and in a gasp of freedom, the memories around them began to shimmer like stars illuminating the night. But they pressed forward, undeterred, and with a surge of courage, they raised the book high above their heads. Return to the light. This ends now, they shouted, invoking the justice that was their birthright, the right to laughter, the right to live unshackled by fear. Bright light exploded from the book, consuming the darkness, flowing like a river of hope straight into the heart of the woods. Look, it's working, Lily exclaimed, her voice full of joy. As the creature disintegrated into nothingness, the memories of the children erupted in joyful laughter, merging with the light that enveloped them. And in an instant that felt like eternity, they were back in the meadow, surrounded by radiant smiles and laughter ringing like music. The boy turned to Lily, tears streaming down his face, laughter bursting from his chest. We did it. As the last remnants of darkness faded, the children danced, never again to be prisoners of a terrible history. Lily smiled, the light of hope shining fiercely in her eyes. With the shadows finally dispelled, he turned to the sky, feeling the weight of purpose lift. Never again would fear rule their lives. They had rewritten their story, one of freedom, laughter, and the beauty of hope reborn. And in that bright meadow, surrounded by loves lost and spirits restored, they knew their journey was just beginning. All right, before you go, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Did you see this twist coming? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to witness this conclusion. Your support means everything, and only true fans understand how important this is. Let us keep the adventure going together.